Good evening and welcome to the intersection where we address issues and provide relevant information and insight through conversations about culture, race, and sports. This is Dr. Marcus Bright, your host, and I'm honored to be joined by a special guest co-host tonight, ESPN college basketball analyst, Mr. Brian Burton. Welcome back to the show. Mr.
What
Burton,
up?
I'm back in the kitchen, man. I'm back in the kitchen where
Yeah,
it first began.
no doubt. You're about to cook it up again. Man. Pleasure to be here. Excited to be a part of the intersection. I love this new vision that you and Adam had to do this, and excited to be on episode number 3.
Yeah, I'm really excited, man. We have some incredible, phenomenal guests. We're so grateful that they're on. Brother Burton, let's bring them on.
Yeah, we have our DEI Vice President for Women's Basketball, Miss Kim Hampton. So we're excited to have her on, and she is a former WNBA legend. We'll talk about all that, I'm sure, at some point. Arizona State, the best player, even better than James Harden. So some of y'all may need to look up. You might need to Google my girl. You might need to Google her. And then we have Dr. Brittany Ezell, who has been a Division I coach and head coach at several different stops and is as powerful of a speaker and leader as you will find. And she's doing some awesome things outside of the space and inside of the space still. So we'll bring both of those powerful ladies in. What up?
Hey.
Yes, hey.
Yeah, welcome. So we'll kick it right off. First, how is everybody doing?
Really good.
Amazing.
Yeah, really
good. I figure you're doing as well as you look because both of you guys look fantastic. So let's talk about this one big lesson. So women, being a woman in sports, right? Whether it's playing, coaching, and coach, you played as well. What is one big lesson from both of you that you have had along the way that you'd like to share, whether it's from the professional side or the playing side, or if you want to touch on both? I'll let Coach or Kim Hampton, I'll let you go first.
All right. I think one of the things that I've learned over the years, first of all, just to give you a little background on why this is, I went away. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, but I went to Arizona State to college. And when I graduated, there was no professional basketball in America. So I had to go abroad, and I played abroad for 12 years. So one of the lessons that I learned is that life happens and you cannot compare places, people, or situations. You just have to play things out the way they are. That's just one of the lessons. And you have to try to find the silver lining, like the best out of every situation. And, and to add to that, like I really learned that we are going to encounter uncomfortableness because that's how life rolls. And, when we become comfortable with the uncomfortable, I think it just helps us to grow, and so those are some of the things that, like I've definitely learned that you're going to have to go through some stuff in order to grow.
Yeah, very well said. Doc, we'll let you jump in the hot seat.
Y'all always make it tough for me following Kim. Y'all know I fangirl out every time she gets on the screen. So I think one of the things that I learned and still to this day try to learn is that when you're an athlete or whether you're a coach, you are learning how to live by being taught how to play. You're learning about fairness. You're learning about work ethic and sweat equity and promptness and being on time and professionalism. And you're learning all these things through a game. So you learn how to live by being taught how to play. And then the other thing that I would probably take with me the most is that you have to be a lifelong learner. The day you stop learning is the day you stop improving. And when you stop improving, it's like Kim said, you're just comfortable. And that's nowhere to be. You want to grow, be uncomfortable, like Kim said. You want to grow, be a lifelong learner. Leaders are readers, leaders are learners. And I got my pen out. I'm ready to go with you guys tonight. So I'm excited to learn. So
I got mine too, just so we got that on the
record. Kim, you mentioned being from Louisville. What went into your decision? No,
it's not Louisville. Okay.
Okay.
It's Louisville. Get it right.
Louisville, let's get it right. The home of the greatest. Kim Hampton, Muhammad Ali.
That's right.
what went into your decision to go to Arizona State, and tell us a little bit about your upbringing there in Louisville.
Well, I was a super athletic kid growing up. I mean, we had a lot of kids on our block and we did everything. We played and we had relay races. So we were super athletic and competitive on my block. So I knew I was a great athlete from a very young age, but I didn't start participating in organized sports until my freshman year of high school. And, that was because I was 6 feet tall. And it was, the high school coach, he was like, my God, you're going to play basketball. You're going to play basketball. And I was like, no, because I was super shy as well. And I had never played, but, when I told him, 4 days prior to the tryouts that I would try out, that just completely changed the trajectory of my life. And, I just, I just wanted to see something different. Once I realized I could go anywhere I wanted to go, I was getting letters from anywhere. But when I graduated in 1980 from high school, women's basketball was still AIAW. It wasn't NCAA. So the schools weren't able to fly us out, or fly me out to visit all of these schools. Here I am, getting calls from Billy Moore, getting calls from UCLA, Old Dominion, Tennessee. Every day a letter came. One of the football players from my high school went there to Tennessee to play football. And they even had him trying to, and I'm thinking because I don't understand women's basketball. I don't understand, I didn't know who Pat Head Summit was. And if I would have gone, I would have won 2 national championships in my tenure. Or had I gone to USC, I could have won, 2 championships. I didn't know what women's basketball was about. So I chose Arizona State University just because the weather was warm, the campus was big and beautiful. I didn't have any idea of what I wanted to major in, but I just wanted to get away and kind of start my own life. I just knew that life was more than Louisville, Kentucky. And so, I just, that was the reason that I left. And that was the reason because it was just something calling me.
Dr. Brittany, Kim mentioned Tennessee, and, I believe we're both Tennessee natives. I grew up in Martin, Tennessee, where Pat Head Summit played college basketball. What was your upbringing like in the state of Tennessee? The influence of the Lady Vols there, Coach Summit, all of that. How did that play into your love for sports and impact you along your journey?
Oh, gosh. So I'm from Franklin, Tennessee, right outside of Nashville, born and raised. Parents are from the Nashville area, the whole bit. So you grow up under the orange umbrella. I mean, if you knew anything about basketball, then you knew Pat Head Summit. I had the good fortune of knowing her since I was about 10 years old. I played with her niece, Tracy. We played AAU together. And I was probably the only little girl in the state of Tennessee that when Pat Summit called and asked if I wanted to be a Lady Vol, I said no. I didn't. And it wasn't because I was afraid of it or the competition. It's because I wanted to start freshman year, and she already had Michelle Marciniak and Tiffany Woosley and Latina Davis, and it was a business decision for me. So the phone call came in from Pat Summit, going into my senior year. She gets on the phone. She says, "Brittany, I got one question for you. I'm gonna let you go." I said, "Yes, ma'am. What is it?" She said, "I want to know if you want to be a Lady Vol." And I said, "No, ma'am, I don't." And she started laughing, and she said, "Well, there's a little girl in Oregon that will be very excited. And, we've got some other things out there." She said, "Well, I'm going to coach against you, aren't I?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, probably." And she said, "Well, you do me a favor." She said, "If you ever need anything, you call me, because we Tennessee girls stick together." And that meant the world to me. And when I started my head coaching career, I was 28 years old, coaching junior college. She was one of the first phone calls I got. And she recruited some of my players, and I worked her camps, and we kept in touch over the years, more like friends. And it was just really humbling and a big honor to be a small part of the legacy that is Pat Summit in a very different way. Really cool.
Absolutely. I can remember, I guess I was maybe 11 or 12, and this was when she was coaching, when it was Shamika Holtzclaw and Samika Randall and Tamika Catchings, and they came and played back in Martin. And they let us out of school to watch them go practice. But it was a phenomenal experience,
Yeah.
phenomenal experience. And I just have before brother Burton comes back in, you mentioned learning how to live by being taught how to play. And one of the
Mhm.
things I'm in Miami, and as we think about um, culture and society, I've been working the past year with a Google software engineer by the name of Randy Raymond, because the past 2 years there's been like a tech boom. Silicon Valley has landed here in
Mhm.
Miami. A lot of tech jobs have come in. Cost of living, housing prices have escalated. But the people who were already here in Miami did not have an adequate level of preparation in terms of being able to be prepared and have the competencies to plug into some of these tech jobs. A lot of it was because many of the schools don't have any kind of computer science programming, and don't have a concept of the languages like JavaScript and Python or what have you. And so I wanted to, but we produced the best in certain areas, the best football player, high school football players in the country, arguably. Miami Central, #1 high school football team in the country. So how we had an idea, just got a word before this broadcast that, one of the middle schools that we're going to pilot is going to do it, and they're starting like right now. And the whole idea is to build an AAU-like system at a young age to identify and to groom talent in computer science on up, and try to build a parallel system to like what you mentioned in
Yeah.
AAU as you think about the transferability between sports and tech and industry.
Mhm.
What kind of advice would you all have in terms of replicating some of the practices that have produced great basketball players and great basketball teams? How can we transition that into building great computer scientists, great computer engineers, or any other industry? What was your what are your thoughts on a youth development process in that lane?
Wow.
You want me to jump on that one first, Kim?
Yes.
I can try. So I guess I would liken it, and I actually had an off-camera conversation with Brian about what we do. Your verbs when you're coaching or moving into entrepreneurship or education, your verbs are going to be the same. Your nouns are going to be different. You're still going to be seeking potential. You're still going to be seeking kids that are eager learners, that are team oriented, that understand accountability, dependability, responsibility. You're going to look for the same kind of qualities. And it's the same reason that people hire athletes. We have a certain je ne sais quoi about us. There is just something there. When you're looking to kind of build a farm system, what you're looking for again is that potential and those abilities that you can't coach, right? I couldn't coach. I couldn't make you tall. I couldn't make you agile like Kim. I couldn't give you great hands, but I could teach you the skills that were required. You've got to find the things that they were just born with, that innate ability to learn, that desire to be part of something bigger, and that ability to kind of problem solve without being held by the hand. So it's very similar than when you're recruiting an athlete. What are the intangibles that they have that you can help mold and make them better in whatever space it is that they choose to pursue? That's what we're supposed to do as coaches.
Let me follow up with you, Dr. Brittany, on this, because
Sure.
for you to reach that level of recruitment in the state of Tennessee, to where you
Mhm.
even get a call from Coach Pat Summit,
She
what
felt
was your
sorry for me, Marcus. I think she did. I was, she felt sorry for me. So
but you had to have an incredible work ethic to be able to have that level of skill
Mhm.
and performance. What was your, for any young athlete or a parent of an athlete, what was your regimen
Mhm.
in high school, middle school, to get to that level?
Sure. So I was a little bit different. I played three sports. My parents let me kind of go and play and do. In high school, my dad drove me to school every day, and we got to school at about 6 o'clock. We shot in the morning before my dad went to work and before I decided to go to class. So then school, then after school was practice, and then my dad would come pick me up, and we'd probably do another 30 minutes shooting and those kind of things. So it was the unseen hours. It was, I didn't go to parties. I wasn't the social butterfly. I was cool with everybody, but I kind of always figured, there's always going to be another party. There's never another chance to be a Division I athlete. And so I was really fortunate. Like I said, my father played Division I football. My brothers were athletes. My mother was an athlete. A lot like Kim, I grew up around people that just made me be better. And you figure out real fast, if you've got a gift. And I wanted to squeeze everything that I could out of the gift that I was given, because I thought it would be disrespectful if I didn't.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The unseen hours. Woo.
Yeah. Kim knows about him. Kim knows about him.
Yeah. For me, the craziest thing is, again, I started playing basketball my freshman year of high school. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was just playing JV and dressing varsity, because I didn't know how to dribble, shoot. I didn't even know the rules of the game. I couldn't stand in 3 seconds. I mean, I was starting there. And, but over the summer, I was able to get a lifeguard job. I became a lifeguard, and it allowed me to be in the park all day long. And I got a chance to play basketball all summer long with the boys. When I came back, I was starting varsity my sophomore year. And I was averaging like 15 and 10. I'm snagging rebounds, and that was when I decided I'm going to college on an athletic scholarship. That's when everything turned for me. That's when, I decided I was going to do it. Now, different from you, Brittany, I still didn't understand, if you work a little harder, if you do this. Now, my dad and those guys, my uncle in Kentucky, he played at the great Central High, and he was, like all state and, and all of this. But I didn't understand and didn't have anyone to tell me, okay, push yourself. As a freshman, I could grab the rim with 2 hands. I was the quickest player on the team, and I'm 6 feet tall. I mean, just incredibly athletic. And, I didn't know, so I think that you have a lot of that going on too. Student athletes don't understand and don't know. They don't have, family members that did it before them, or they might not have someone in their neighborhood or their, that's around them that knows how to do it. So it's so different for each individual. And I always ask this question, and I would love to ask, if you could go back to any age and take your knowledge, you forget the pain, but take your knowledge now back with you, what age would that be? Like for me, I would start at freshman year of high school, because then I know that I would be more focused. Right. Academically as well as athletically. I would, just some of the decisions that I made. I mean, heck, I know that I would make no disrespect to Arizona State. I mean, Arizona State was great to me. Plus, and I want to tell you guys this. So I didn't go to Tennessee, but my coach, Julian Brzezinski Simpson, was co-captain with Pat Head Summit on the 76 Olympic team. And so that was, that gave me that. And then she was great friends with Annie Myers, Billy, Billy Moore. And, so I felt like I was still in that Olympic, loop and everything. So, so it's just,
Well, Kim, truthfully, the only reason that I was able to do the things that I was able to do was because I was standing on shoulders of people like you that came in front of me. And, learning about Immaculata and Delta State, and learning about the late, great Billy Moore. And, you're paying attention to Leon Barmore, and you're learning the history of the game, and you would be foolish not to. So the only reason that people like me had the opportunity to have careers and do the things that we did is because of the sacrifice of those people and people like you who paved the way. So would I go back to any one age and change it? I think the only thing I would go back and do is try to express a little more gratitude for the shoulders that I did stand on, because you take it for granted at that time. And then, hindsight's always 20/20. And if you'd have told me when I was 18 that I was going to have a chance to be on podcast with you, I said, you got to be kidding. I got a New York Liberty playing card of Kim Hampton. So I'm not, don't tell me that, The game can take you a lot of good places, but yeah, I only did what I did because of people like you. So
it's getting real in here. I love it. I'm gonna jump in and ask the question, and I'll ask Dr. Barkers. Bright, you played as well. We're gonna put you on the stage of this. We'll give a 1.5 minute answer. Okay. What's one, or we'll give two. We'll give 2 full minutes. What's one of the hardest things that you've had to overcome in your either playing or professional career? So we'll say as women, the lane is different. The rules sometimes are different. Whether it's right or it's wrong is what it is. I think we're continuing to fight for even more of a space in the workspace and in athletics, which we can open up and talk about as we keep going. But and then obviously as a Black man, the rules are different. It's not the same. So I would ask each of you, and we'll let the ladies go first and end with you, Dr. Bright. But what's one of the hardest things you've had to overcome in life that you feel comfortable to share? Anyone can go first. Of the women, Marcus, don't be trying to jump out in front of them.
Please, Brittany.
Oh, you setting me up. What would be some of the hardest things that I would have to overcome?
That you had to overcome.
If you can just think of one story that you have overcome personally that you feel comfortable sharing, that's like, this hit me really hard and I struggled this and this is how I got through it. Because I think the part we all know the success, but I think sometimes people can't relate to people like a Kim Hampton, like a Dr. Ezell that have had so much success, and knowing that they have a similar struggle along the way. Like, wait a minute, Coach Ezell got through that. She had something like me, or Kim Hampton.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just think you have it all together. So share a little bit behind the curtain if you don't mind.
I don't think anybody has it all together. That we can paint a pretty picture. There's always that imposter syndrome when you're front facing and you're a public figure. I think the hardest thing for me to have to overcome wasn't necessarily when I was playing. There's plenty of things there. When I was coaching and I was fired.
Yeah.
And it's a gut punch. It really is, because you've devoted your life to helping other people's children, and then you have put your own personal validation in the hands of people that aren't even valid in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And
we said that earlier. You got to say that one again. You got to rewind. That's a lot of heat right there. Hold on.
A lot of coaches seek validation from invalid people. And the majority of critics in our lives don't have the credentials that we have, but yet they get to make decisions that impact our lives, our families' lives, and our livelihood. So once you get a grip on it and you recognize what it is, and that rejection is merely a redirection, and oftentimes it's an opportunity for correction, and it ultimately will reveal a protection. It really will. And it'll move you to the place that you should have been heading all along. And you paused and you hesitated and you questioned. And so I struggle with that. I struggled with, am I good enough? Am I, heading down the right path? Everybody does.
Yep.
But I just did it on a public stage. And so that's the thing about being an athlete or a coach. They don't see the unseen hours like we talked about a few moments ago, but what they do see is public failure and how you handle it. They do see public success and how you handle it. And you've got to be able to handle both with the same level of grace and with the same level of gratitude, because they're both teaching you something that you'll need further down the line. So that would be my thing. That would be the hardest thing for me.
Snaps for that. Snaps for that. Let's go. Kim?
And that's why I say, life continues to happen. Life will happen. You will get fired, you will get hired, you will get all of that. But I think it's perspective. Everything is perspective. You have to go into it. And I know you do as coaches. I know you guys go into it that this probably isn't going to be a lifelong situation, but you just have to know that when other people's livelihood depends on what you do, and things like that, a lot of people are impatient, and they're not going to see how well it might, instead of giving you 5 years, it might take you 7 years to get the program turned around, and things like that. But, it's so important that we have to be great judges of people who are judging us. We have to go into it like knowing and asking questions about ourselves, because you don't want to just, you don't want to be hired by someone who's just fulfilling the status quo. If it's me, I'm an African-American woman, and you're feeling the status quo of, of minority hiring, I want to know that you believe in me, not because my skin color has anything to do with it, but because you believe in the qualities that I'm exuding, that I'm telling you who I am, So it's a lot. But I don't know. For me, geez, Louise, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave it there, just so that we can continue to flow. Again, it's super important about.
So if you don't mind me jump in, Kim, if you don't mind me, for you, obviously you played college and pro, right? It came very easy. You broke a ton of records. You were in the first jump ball of the WNBA first game, correct?
I have the card. I got the card, Kim.
Wow.
It's that game. So for you, Kim, us that did not play in the WNBA or the NBA, and those that are watching, it probably looks like it was easy for you. What's something along the way for you that you overcame that's like, this wasn't easy, I learned this, and therefore I applied it after? Because I do think there's value. Don't act like you're on here just to feel things either. Now we want to hear.
Okay, I'll just leave it there. Yeah, no, I get. No, I think, okay. So for me, it always goes back to self. Just understanding that there are going to be good days and bad days. There are going to be days where you can close your eyes, kick the ball in the basket. Everything you do, say, is going to be perfect. And then there are going to be days where, oh my God, like if you can run up and down the floor, you're doing something. And there are going to be days like that. And so I think it's giving yourself grace. Like for me, it's giving you not just understanding you cannot save the world. You cannot do it all by yourself. And I think when people sometimes put you on a pedestal and it's high, you feel the pressure of having to live up to that. Like, oh my gosh, I missed my first 3 shots, or I missed my first 4 shots. Does that mean I'm going to have a bad game? Sometimes we get into our heads, so incredibly deep that, I think that those are some of the things. Just knowing that, okay, if it's not flowing for you offensively, what else you got? What about rebounds? What about defense? What about getting somebody else open? What about being a great motivator? And stuff like that. So, for me, those are some of the things. Just knowing that you cannot save the world, and you are not going to be able to do it night after night after night.
I love it. Yeah. Love it. Very well done, Dr. Bright.
I think the unseen struggle, like Dr. Brittany said, from leaving Martin, Tennessee and going to Palm Beach Community College, JUCO, and spending 2 years eating grilled cheese sandwiches and peanut butter and jelly, going to the University of Tampa, having a failed pro basketball career in Argentina, coming back, having the goal of wanting to get a PhD, wanting to get be a public scholar, but not having any money. And my brother I came to Miami in 2007, and my brother was a student athlete at FIU. And I actually, for the first 2 semesters, I didn't have anywhere to live. I snuck in his dorm room every night. Yeah, I snuck in his dorm room. And I'm just grateful for my brother, for him sacrificing his space, for me. But I took like max hours in the master's degree program. And then from like 2008 to 2014, just living like a nomad in terms of renting rooms here and there, sometimes sleeping in the graduate assistant's office. It was a year I didn't even have a place to stay, period, in terms of between me finishing the PhD coursework and working different jobs and starting a nonprofit organization where we did programming. The reason why we did programming in 15 different cities and I was so gung-ho about it, people don't know this, I really didn't have a place to stay. So I had family in Atlanta. I said I could bounce around a week. In the meantime, I'm working with Georgia State. Okay, I know somebody in LA. My brother was in LA. We can work here. And so in New York and Philadelphia and that kind of thing. So the whole unseen struggle to get the PhD 2014. And I'm thinking that there's going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Applying across the country and not even getting an interview. I'm like, yo, I got a PhD. What's up? Not even getting an interview.
Overqualified, dude. You're overqualified.
They told me when I had this, I was going to be good. What's up?
Right. The goalposts keep changing, but there was always a purpose for the struggle, and I developed so much grit and the challenge is the way. The challenge, the other side of challenge is opportunity. So always finding different ways and becoming more versatile and creating strategic partnerships to create progress for the community and me. And it gave me a level of empathy for what people are going through that added and fueled my mission for social impact and social change, because I understand what people are going through in terms of the struggle that people are going through in different facets of their life, and then trying to build bridges of access and opportunity for them to improve their station of life to this day.
Yeah, I love it. And we got to give a quick shout out. I don't know if you guys knew that. We'll put it at the bottom real quick.
Oh.
We'll scroll that across. Hold on. Let's scroll that across because we got the book. We got the best-selling author, at least number one on the charts right now is the book. So let's talk about the book real quick. We got to jump into it. I set it up, but we got to jump into it real quick. We'll go.
Let me ask a question. Did you record it on Audible?
No, but you can get it right. You can get it right now on Amazon. Audible is coming. You can get it on Kindle or paperback. It's called Brighter Ways Forward: Reflections on Sports, Tech, and Socioeconomic Mobility. And it's really about what we're discussing, transferring, utilizing the strengths and the practices and the strategies from sports, being able to apply them to, for example, industries like tech, and then for the advancement of our broader socioeconomic mobility. So again, Brighter Ways Forward: Reflections on Sports, Tech, Socioeconomic Mobility, available on Amazon. And we're talking about it right now. It's a book, but it's also an action plan.
Love it.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Slaps for that. Snaps for
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome.
But you know what, guys, can I just
please.
Really, really quick? Like, what you're doing, Dr. Bright, is amazing. But I really feel like the schools, universities, our educational system needs to get on board. I think about what they can do. Like, let's just take athletes. Let's take men athletes that can go to school for a year, 2 years. Why isn't the curriculum giving them an opportunity to learn how to manage the millions that they could potentially make? Why? If you have music
topics right now, I like it.
If you have a music major, why is the music program just traditional that you have to learn? You have to learn to write music, music theory. You have to. What if you just want to be a vocalist? What if you want to do, I really think that just the educational system really needs to bump up and just make education more sexy. Like you said, the tech field, like preparing kids, like making robotics, like going into neighborhoods, making robotics sexy. I feel like African-American kids, little brown kids, I feel like they are amazing. Like, you can teach them how to do anything, but it has to make sense. And it has to, for little brown kids, it has to be sexy. It has to be kind of cool. And if they can connect the dots of it being sexy and cool, they will excel at anything. And I don't understand why the educational systems aren't like comprehending this and aren't just translating that.
Yeah, I agree 100.
I'll let Coach Ezell then go, Marcus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, God. What Kim said, I'm the daughter of an educator. My mother ran a school system, and we used to talk about this a lot. It's the way things have always been done is kind of the favorite phrase of every school system. This is the way we've always done it. Well, it's also the definition of insanity. All right. You keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you got. All right. So if you want something different, let's do something different. And I think the education system has to evolve with the society and not fight the society in its evolution. So we can't keep taking things away. We need to go add and this and this. Let's add this. Like Kim said, oh, you want to do that? Let's add this and this and this. Not to the point of, just overstimulating a child, but giving them options and then letting them choose rather than carving out a path that maybe wasn't even intended for them.
Yeah.
Let's create a path that they can walk down in their own signature strength. Yeah. Because everybody looks different, was created different. we need to be more accommodating. And it goes back again, Dr. Bright and Kim, like we talked about with sport. Basketball is overcoached but undertaught.
Amen.
Okay. We need to make sure that kids are being taught, but they're being taught the things that will translate into the real world, not just onto a standardized test.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in real quick. Super well said. I think just to add to it quick, I think similar to coaching, the game has evolved, right? It's positionless basketball. That's a part of it, or whatever the case may be. The game keeps evolving, whether it's football or basketball. But you have kind of the change is hard for some people. So I think when you think about educational systems, the people that are in place that make the decisions, they may not embrace change the way that the world is already changing in front of them, right? But the forward thinkers that can get ahead of it and go with it, I think they end up accelerating faster. Whereas I think sometimes, call it what it is, the marketing of education and systems and success stories, sometimes people go to places because of a reputation or what they think, like Dr. Bright said, hey, I got my doctor, like, where's my job at? So it's more about trying to figure out how to get that forward thinking and that new age to add on, like Dr. Ezell said. I think that's a part of it. And I think sometimes the people that make the decisions, it's uncomfortable for that change, or there's a lot of layers to that, and it can't just be flick the switch. And maybe they're not as convicted about it. Maybe they like the way it is. Maybe they want to stick to that. Again, it's kind of like older coaches. They may not like the transfer portal. They may not like NIL, but it's the way of the times now. You have no choice but to adapt. So in some ways, it's similar to that. That's a reflection of our educational system. Dr.
Yeah, it's like Blockbuster. They didn't want to get with the digital, And it's just saying the proof is in the pudding. I'm just saying,
Amen.
Yeah, I think that briefly, I use tech kind of as a case study. There's an 8-part, what I call Inspiring Tech series. The first part is Inspiring Tech Dreams, Inspiring New Dreams. When I was growing up, I know you all remember this, Curtis. Sometimes I dream that he is me, like Mike, right? If I could be like, and we all wanted to be like Mike, we need to have the same kind of what I call inspiring tech dreams. I bring up Randy Raymond, brilliant computer engineer. He's like a Michael Jordan in his space. I'm trying to just bring him in front of our young people so that they understand and have a vision of what they could be. And they can see the transferability of what they're learning now, because a lot of students check out of math in like 7th and 8th grade when they start going to X's and Y's because they say this is not going to be relatable. And then you get to college. I used to be over academics for the athletes at FIU, and they say I want to major in computer engineering, but you checked out of math in the 7th and 8th grade. So all of those majors are off the board because you can't do the first class, which is calculus. So I think making sure that the students have the content, but also the context, and bridging that divide. We do it in sports. Last thing in football, or if I tell you to go outside and just go hit somebody, Brian, go outside and just go hit somebody, go run some sprints, you're gonna say nah. But if you put the context of football in it, and the mass marketing around it, and the promotion and the elevated social status, then I say, okay, I'll go do all of that because it's now worth it. So we're in motion trying to put that in. We had to kind of circumvent the school system, go right through a school, put a self-paced program where they're going to learn this coding language called JavaScript at a middle school here. I mean, I just got the news 15 minutes before this broadcast. I was literally like Brian, I shed tears. I did because it was a year. It was a year trying to convince people of the value of it, right? Of the value of it, and having to break through an existing curriculum and convince them to try this out. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. We're going to shift a little bit. So we got the diversity. We'll let Kim and Dr. Bright open this, but we have the equity and equality and inclusion games coming up next month. So a little bit of that. We did it last year, so I'll let both of you guys kind of share a little bit about that. But Rising Coaches across the country is sharing these pins that coaches can wear. There's an equal sign, an orange equal sign, just kind of representing that equality and inclusion games and everybody it means a little bit something different to. So I'll just let this kind of be open for Kim and Marcus to start it, and then what is that word when you guys hear that? What does it mean kind of to you guys, and what do you like that you see? We'll get to that next, and then what do you hope to see in that space? So we'll just start by introducing a little bit of thoughts on last year and what happened, Kim and Marcus. So we'll let Kim go first.
No, Kim went first the last time. We're gonna let Marcus go first.
Okay, I appreciate you passing it. Double team. You pass out the double team. Okay.
Behind the back pass.
Well, I see it. Number one, it's just like a faith journey. I can remember being on the Zoom with you three, Adam, Daryl Jacobs, and Aaron Sanat in like November, and just discussing this concept. And we just said, we're just going to put it out there and see what happens. Yeah. And it ended up taking off, and it was 150 colleges and universities, athletic programs that participated in. So it just shows the potential that if you have a vision and just put things in action, then the progress can be made. And it was a great step forward in terms of trying to capture and galvanize around the usage of sports as a platform for social change and just putting issues on the agenda. And so I think as we move into year two, I think the challenge is to go beyond as much as we can, beyond the court, to try to use sports, the convening power of sports as a platform, as a vehicle to create positive change on campuses and in communities.
Love it.
Yeah. Wow. That is so true. Like, sport is a huge platform that could create change. I mean, you have the major athletes that can talk about change. And then you have, for example, I work with Nike now. And, when you had the whole George Floyd, you had Colin Kaepernick, you had all of that, just diversity and all of that civil unrest that was going on. And you have so many companies that have large platforms like Nike, who hired me in the Nike Win program.
Let's go.
That's where they hired former WNBA players. We have 5 cohorts now. We have 5 where it's probably about 50 something former WNBA players who are hired with Nike and some with Converse as well. And now they've dabbled over into USA track and field, and then they're going into soccer because they felt that women didn't get the same opportunities as our counterparts. And as well, and it's probably majority of women of color, because they felt that women of color didn't get the same opportunities as our counterparts as well. So, it's just, for me, it's super important to start, or to just create platforms for people to jump in. I believe that we all see it in any industry. I don't care what industry it is. We see that there is, disparity in industries all around us. And so it's just wonderful to see. And God, oh my God. I mean, if we talk about coaching, I mean, oh my gosh, we don't, you look at the numbers of how many, upper administratives, are there of people of color, and how many head coaches are there in women's basketball and men's basketball and the NBA and the NFL. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on. So I think just giving schools an opportunity to do something or to be a part of something like this is huge. It was great to see all of the schools that participated last year, and then there's new schools that are participating. And I think this is just something, because not only is it for the adults, but it's what you're doing for the student athletes as well. It's also bringing awareness for them to learn to speak up and to be a part of a positive movement like this.
Yeah. Well said.
I got a coaching question for Dr. Brittany. And I'm not going to go deep into. I'm not going to go into the Ed Reed. I'm not going to go deep into it. But it sparks there's a great initiative from the Rising Coaches DEI Alliance called Next Up, which is a preparation initiative program to get assistant coaches ready to be head coaches. Because sometimes, we may even have the skill set, we may have the passion, but it may not necessarily have a complete understanding of everything that is required from a holistic standpoint to be the head coach of a program. What kind of insight do you have for coaches or just anybody that's looking to take the next step in their career and have a leadership role like that of a head coach? What advice do you have for people to prepare themselves to run a program?
Adding to that real quick, what Marcus is talking about with the DI next up, it's also the cheat codes to understand the language and the way that you have to represent yourself in an interview. Because you may have the resume, but you don't know how to win the interview to win the job. And then you may be able to get the job, but you may not know the totality of all the things that you need to tackle. So,
yeah. Well, I think you can kind of group everything that you guys were just talking about with the DEI initiative and this question in that you're going to uncover and you're going to have to kind of adjust towards, there's a lot of unconscious bias out there. People don't even realize that they are biased towards certain groups or they don't realize it. So what Kim said about pointing it out, and this is what I will tell you about that. You've got to find advocates. You've got to reach into your network. Don't call them allies, call them advocates, people who won't just say, I'm your friend. They will put your name beside theirs and go to war for you. Those are the kind of people that you need in your corner. You need people that have walked through that door and now are holding the door open for you to come right in, right beside them, not behind me, not in front of me, walk beside me. And I work with some rising coaches, not particularly with this group, but I do love Adam and Andy and Brian, and I'd do anything for you guys. And I consult with a lot of them. You got a network. And then one of the big things that I tell everybody is you got to be your own biggest advocate. I don't know where you came from. I don't know your story. You got to tell me. There's got to be a storytelling component about who you are as a coach. Don't hand me a blank sheet of paper because your resume is what you did. Tell me who you are. Show me who you are. And when you can do those things and you can articulate it and you can share your story and you can paint a picture for me that's compelling and one that makes me want to be a small part of it, I'm going to hire you. I don't care if it's an assistant coach, as an administrator. I'm going to put you on my list and say that person has something. Be your own biggest advocate because nobody on this screen, on this earth knows what it took for you to get to that moment. And nobody knows what it's like to be you. Tell them and let them know.
Wow. And just that is 100.
Can I leave now? Am I done?
Off the mic.
You know what? But when you mentioned unconscious bias, like that is a whole, you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Unconscious bias is probably right up there with that because let's just take very basically what unconscious bias is. Me walking into the locker room with my team and said, all right, guys, let's go. Yes. Well, I'm calling a bunch of people because I can no longer say women. I can no longer say, because now we have the pronouns. We have the, it is just so much to learn. And you're labeling people because, what, they're athletes, because they're like, what? Oh my gosh. So that was just.
Oh, yeah. And it's something it's in every walk of life. I mean, I got my DEI certification in real estate because there's unconscious bias in the real estate world.
Huge unconscious bias. Huge.
Why is it more difficult for an African American family to purchase a home than it is for a Caucasian? Because there's an unconscious bias and because the world was kind of set up that way from the beginning. And if we don't understand our past, then we can't correct it in the future. So that was part of the reason that I wanted to get that certification. It's why it's so important for me to be an advocate and not just an ally. Because I know that I haven't had to experience certain things that my teammates did, that Kim did, that maybe you guys have. I didn't have to, but I can make sure that you don't have to on my watch. And that's what we need is we need other people to stand up and say, you know what, this might have been going on, but it stops. And I think that's the great thing for me about sport when you're talking about DEI or that basketball doesn't know what color you are. It doesn't know your socioeconomic background or your class or what kind of grades you make. It doesn't know anything about your mom or dad or what you've had to go through. It knows who hustles. It knows who cares. It knows who gives effort. It knows who is sweating on top of it to try to better themselves and their team.
Right.
That's why I love basketball. That's why I love basketball, because it doesn't know, it doesn't care, but it rewards you when you do the right things and you work.
I love it. I got a special segment. I want to try to take a 3 to 4 minute segment. We're gonna have this ladies only. Okay, I'm gonna let Kim ask Dr. Ezell a question. Dr. Ezell ask Kim a question. Whatever you want, but we're gonna have a conversation, and then we'll close it out with a few thoughts after that. So no rush. Conversation on any topic, but the gentleman gonna step out. We're gonna give the ladies the floor.
Oh, goodness.
Wow. Okay.
I like it, Kim.
How do you see yourself improving not only yourself, but where you work, your school, the people that you touch? What are you doing to improve every situation of your life and who you are?
I think you said 3-4 minutes, Kim. We don't have long enough for my answer on that. So I work in the real estate world now.
Okay.
I'm the CEO of a real estate brokerage. I oversee 160 agents and a leadership team, and then I work with a network of 1,100 agents that helps to relocate coaches, athletes, celebrities, and entertainers nationwide. How do I make that better? By doing the thing that made me successful as an athlete. I assist. I try to find ways to assist. I try to listen with the intent to understand, and then find the finisher. How can I set you up for success? How can I make your life easier? Because I go into my everyday as if I can make sure that one life has breathed easier, I've had a great day. Wow. And I know that I'll be rewarded for doing the right things. And Brian and I talk about it a little bit. My favorite focus is on the transformation rather than the transaction. So that's where I spend my time.
Wow.
Yeah. Great question, though.
So awesome. I mean, it's so funny. I just look at you. You're coaching. You're coaching everyone. I mean, and that's why I always say sports and athletics is more than just a game. Like all of the lessons that we've learned, like be it as an athlete, be it as a coach, like there's not a day that goes by that you don't utilize several of those lessons that you learn. I mean, everything is transferable. It's just so amazing. Wow.
I've got walking trophies all over the country, and I will for the rest of my life. And that's what basketball gave me back. So my question to you, Kim, because I've already fangirled out about 10 times, and I'm so proud of you and everything that you're doing. And now you've got a daughter that's playing. All right. Here's my question. Would freshman year Kim beat your daughter one-on-one right now?
Yeah.
Because I know she's watching. That's my fun question. But my deep question, I'm going to come back to that one. I want that one off screen. My deep question is, what do you wish a coach would have done for you that you didn't have done? What did you wish that they would have poured into you more?
I wished, and I'm going to go to Julene, because a high school coach, he was a high school coach. A lot of high school coaches are doing it as a labor of love. Yeah. I mean, it just depends on the program that you're in. But our high school coach, he was doing it as a labor of love. I mean, he just poured into kids. But my high school coach, I would have liked for her to have done it in a more caring way. Back then, and just like Pat Head Summit was, I mean, they were probably some of the toughest coaches. They probably, more players probably quit, transferred or whatever. It wasn't for the meek. They weren't for the meek. But I just wish she could have found a way to do it in a just maybe in a different way. She did push me, and I'm glad. It was 2 times I wanted to transfer. Her birthday was January the 20th, and we were talking and we were laughing about different things, and I can remember, I wanted to transfer probably twice, but I'm so glad I stuck it out, because all of the lessons, like the main lesson is when you think you've tapped out and you've given all you have, there's always more. It's kind of like, oh my God, like she told us for conditioning, we only have 3 suicides to run, timelines to run.
Mhm.
And if everyone makes their time, we're good. Well, it took us 7 to get it done. In 7, then we could have done it easily in 3.
Mhm.
So she was that, and you have to have people that can push you and show you. But sometimes you need a nicer way of pushing, that is just not always because, so I think for me, yeah, just if it could have come at times,
Right.
yeah, and in a nicer way, because I do believe you have to have that other side too.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I was guilty of being that real hard line like Coach Summit. I really was,
Okay.
and you go through that imposter syndrome sometimes where you try to be that, but you're not really,
Yeah.
and then you kind of have an identity crisis. So I know that there's kids out there that probably hated me at times too.
Yeah.
But I can say this from having been on that side of the court: you do the best you can until you know better.
Right.
That's why I ask is like, and I think about that a lot. What could I have done a little bit better? Where can I get better? And so I try to take that into my job now. I didn't always listen to my athlete. So
Right.
I try more to listen. I didn't always, empathize, and I'm trying to do that more. And like you said, a lot of the, the George Floyd and the Kaepernick, it opens your eyes to a lot of things that unconsciously you didn't even know you were ignoring, or you
Right.
didn't even know existed.
Right.
And then once you know better, there's no going back. That
Right.
bell's been rung. We got to go.
So true.
We got to go. So yeah, yeah. How about that?
I love it.
So it's that time, the Carol Burnett time. I'm so glad we had this.
Yeah.
I'll ask one final question, and I'll let Dr. Bright, you can chime in on this one too, and then we'll let ladies have final thoughts. But what's I guess if I was to, how can I ask this? If there was one point of a lesson you've learned, a powerful message you would like to pass along before you go, we'll kind of give you the screen, to a younger version of yourself, or to somebody who maybe, if you could speak to your younger self, letter to self, younger self, affirming them or preparing them for parts of the world that you may not have known you were going to see, what would you say to yourself that you know now? Looking backwards doesn't mean you have any regret, but just what would your message be to your younger self? And if that's hard to kind of see, then someone who is younger coming behind you that wants to do some of the things that you've been able to accomplish. Anyone can go first. Dr. Bright, we'll let you go first. We'll let the ladies have a second since they've just been on the screen.
Appreciate that. Thank you, B.
The message to my younger self would be to step into your purpose fearlessly and unapologetically. God showed you the calling that he had on your life at a young age, and to have faith that if you go full throttle at it, even if you make mistakes or mishaps, that if you stand up, God will hold you up. But go for it.
Love it. Love it.
No. I'll go, Kim, and I'll let you finish it, because that's what you are. You're the finisher in the group. So I'll set it up for you. So mine would be, and I'm going to kind of steal it because I saw it on a video. It was a group of actors sitting around, and it was Tom Hanks. And he said, I wish I would have reminded myself that this too shall pass. If it's bad, it's going to pass. Hang on. If it's good, it's going to pass. Just hang on. And I would remind myself that you're going to make it through every bad day you could ever imagine, because we've all made it through all the bad days that we never thought we would get through. And here we are. I guess my challenge to that younger self is, what did you learn? And how did you get better? And did you light somebody else's light with yours? did you help? And yeah, this too shall pass, good and bad.
Love it. Love it. Powerful stuff.
Yeah, I would have to say that we're all blessed and gifted with talents and skill set that are uniquely ours. And there are going to be awkward moments and awkward times in life. But if you continue to develop and sharpen the skill set that we have naturally, it's going to be okay. And that you're going to be okay. Like, I could not for the life of me understand why at the age of 10, I wore a size 10 shoe. At the age of 12, I had a 12 shoe, and I couldn't understand why my wingspan was like 7 feet, or I couldn't understand all of this stuff. But I really feel like God doesn't make mistakes. And if you settle into who you are and the gifts that you have, that a lot of times you'll find an easier path. And, so it's just that. And then again, just giving yourself grace, just knowing that you are okay, that there are so many people that would give the world to be where you are, who you are, to have scratched the surface of what you've done. So why not, like when I think of it, like we would all nurture a baby and take care of a baby. Like for me, I would say just to nurture yourself. Give yourself, just give yourself grace.
So good. So good. I love it. Dr. Bright, I'll let you close us out however you'd like to do so.
Brian, we didn't hear from you.
We didn't. That's my job. I'm just dropping my dimes over here. You know what I mean? Trying to keep us on the schedule, keep us on clock, but we'll save that.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm just really grateful for you, Brian, and coming on and really making this into a really magical episode. Thankful certainly to Dr. Brittany Ezell, to Kim Hampton. Phenomenal conversation. Thank you for giving of your time and of your talent. And this has just been a magical night. I'm just grateful.
Yeah, well said. Ladies, let you have any last words you would like to have before we close?
Oh, it's been an honor. Anything that I can do to serve, I'm here. You call anytime. If I can be of service to rising coaches, to you, Kim, to you, Marcus, anything that I can do, Brian, that I love you and the entire family. Anything that I can do to help, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. So thank you guys. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're welcome, Coach.
Thank you. For me, I'm so honored and feel so grateful to have been a part of this. Brittany, I might be hollering at you because I eventually want to buy a house out here in Portland, Oregon, and I might need some of your expertise, and everything. But I'm here. Like one of the things that I love to do is to mentor to youth and to let them know the power of their choice, the power of their choice to do, or the power of their choice to not do, and how that affects their life. So if I can just be of service, I'm willing to be of service as well.
Yeah, I'll ask one last thing. Can you share how people can find you, what the best way, or anything that you'd like people to know that you're doing that you want support for that may be watching this?
Well, for me, email, it would be info@kimhampton.com, KYMHAMPTON.com, or you can find me on social media, Instagram. I am Kim Hampton, KYM Hampton.
Yeah.
Twitter is Kim Hampton, I think. Look.
Yes. Yeah. And if you don't know, you can find a Rising Coaches page. Yeah.
And yes, of course, with the Rising Coaches, which, I'm so proud and grateful to be a part of. I have to say that too, because when Daryl Jacobs, what's up,
Yeah,
Daryl?
shout out to Daryl. We know you watching.
Daryl, Adam, when Daryl reached out to me, I'm kind of like, what do you think about, and I'm just looking around. But it was an opportunity for me to grow.
We recruited you hard, though. We recruited you hard. We all did.
I was like,
you found the talent, then we just triple teamed you. We're like, we can have you.
But again, we talk about people and opening up opportunities for people to grow and to learn and to be a part of and engage. And so, I'm grateful for this opportunity to be a part of this as well. So,
yeah, awesome. Doc, I know you got some great stuff doing. You kind of mentioned it. We'll let you go one more time and just tell people what you're doing and how they can find you.
You can find me on LinkedIn. It's just Brittany Ezell. You can find me on, I'm only on Instagram, not on Facebook or Twitter. I had my feel of that as a coach. Y'all can have all that.
Right.
You can email me at Brittany Ezell at kw.com, where I work with Keller Williams. And, I'm glad you said, Kim, I might be able to help you find a home, buy a home. We do tons of education, mentoring people that want to learn how to invest, how to buy, sell. We're trying to reach a lot of college athletes. Hey, if you get an NIL deal, let's buy a multifamily. Let's not buy a crazy car. Let's do this.
yes.
Let's build some generational wealth. Let's build a legacy. So we're doing a ton with Keller Williams Sports and Entertainment. Like I said, we've got about 1,100 or so agents nationwide and in 52 foreign countries. I am the connector, and I am more than happy to do anything I can for anybody when it comes to housing and investment, and let's build something that you want and that could make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So happy to do it. Hit me up. Be happy to help.
Awesome.
Wow.
Awesome. And then last one, we got the book. We got to tell them one more time. Where can they find the
Book
book?
out, Marcus. Get the book out.
Hey, you can find me on
Please.
Twitter at Dr. Marcus Bright. You can find me on Amazon.com at Brighter Ways Forward. Reflections on sports, tech, and socioeconomic mobility.
I love it. Well, for everyone, have a great night, and thanks for joining. And thank you all for joining us. And keep rising. Great work. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Okay.